There we go. Can you tell if it's working?
Yeah, you can see the little bars up there that go with the sound.
Cool.
All right. So what's up? It's Kurt here. I'm here with Joe right now, who saw my first video on achieving financial independence at 31, and he decided to reach out on Instagram. So here we are having lunch. That's one benefit of a smaller channel without a lot of subs is accessibility. That's one thing I can offer that the bigger guys can't. So this is actually the second lunch this week, and a few conversations as well that came from that one video. So keep that in mind and hit me up in the comments, and stay tuned for the conversation, because I'm sure I'll have some questions about real estate, and I hope to answer them as best as I can. So anyway, we'll just have a normal conversation and cut it up as makes sense.
Cool.
So where are you at right now? Like, do you do real estate investing, or is it just something on your radar? Or?
It's been on my radar for a long time. I've just never pulled the trigger on it.
Okay.
So I got into, I invested a little bit in like gold and silver miners.
Oh, nice. I actually did that too for a while.
I have some physical silver, and I got like really heavy into crypto.
All right.
So
any particular coins, or just in general?
I have a lot. So
Are you
I
a
think
Doge
AI.
fiend?
No. Another thing I was curious about was like property management. Like, do you manage on your own, or do you have somebody?
Yeah, I self-manage everything.
Okay.
And it's not as bad as you might think, especially because like my strategy to scale necessitates that I have like nicely rehabbed properties, which tend to not need as much residual maintenance, at least in the near term.
Yeah. So you like.
So I have a few problems, and I can attract good tenants, and it means that once I get a place set up and stable, it kind of runs itself for the most part.
Okay. So do you vet the tenants and you do the whole shebang? Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you do like, how do you usually vet people? You do like background checks and credit checks and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I use Buildium for property management. It's just like an online property management tool, and that has screening stuff built in. So I list units on Buildium, other places too, but I'll, from other sources, funnel people to Buildium, where they can see the available units and apply. Then I can review the application and request that they fill out a screening thing. I can send them an invitation to complete a screening report. Once they do that, I can see the results and see their credit, eviction history, criminal stuff too.
Okay.
And I'll also usually talk to their employer, previous landlord, or landlords if available, because they say that you don't want to just talk to their current landlord. If they're bad, that person's gonna be antsy to get rid of them, and we'll be like, oh, they're insane.
So how do you get those contacts? Do you just ask
I just
them?
ask for them in the application.
Okay. Gotcha. And then what like constitutes a good tenant on paper, like for you?
My main screening criteria is income 3 times the monthly rent, no previous evictions, and credit of 600 or more.
Okay. Is that the same criteria you look at for like a Section 8 tenant as well? Because they probably may not hit that like 3 times the
Yeah,
income.
Section 8, the income requirement becomes less important because, they're not paying their rent, or at least not entirely. But they still have to pay a portion of their rent, so you'd want to make sure that what they do make is sufficient to pay the portion of the rent that their voucher won't cover.
Okay. So maybe like 3 times that amount.
Yeah, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
And also, I found out that if they're not able to pay that for some reason, maybe they get fewer hours at work or don't have a job or whatever. If you send them a 7-day notice to pay or quit, they can submit that to the housing agency. And the housing agency will be like, oh, this person has a hardship. We will cover the difference. So
That's what I like about Section 8. It's very attractive that the government almost guarantees like the rent. I heard even during like COVID-19 when they were having all the rent restrictions that
the
Section 8
moratoriums?
yeah. that like they were forgiving rent and whatever else they were doing. I'm not 100% sure everything they were doing, but they Section 8 was still paying out at the full amount,
Yeah.
which is kind of nice. And even during the government shutdown, they say they keep that going. So it's like
Interesting.
pretty guaranteed.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah, it's
that
definitely a plus.
that program kind of like does a lot of the vetting just to get into that program. I think they do background checks and everything already.
Yeah. Yeah, I know they do some screening. I'm not sure what it all entails, but I know if you like trash a place or whatever, cause a lot of issues, they might revoke the voucher.
Right.
So people are incentivized to be in decent behavior because they don't want to lose their vouchers.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main things that people worry about with the Section 8 is getting a bad tenant, because they're kind of equating like a lower income to a bad tenant, but
Yeah, that's not necessarily the case. Because the Section 8 tenants I have, they're pretty good people, it seems.
Right.
I haven't had problems with them. Like,
Yeah.
worst thing is one of their kids was like throwing a bunch of stuff out of the third story window. So they're just like toys and other junk outside. But, you know, I talked
Yeah.
to them after the neighbor complained to me, like, hey, they're throwing stuff over the fence into my yard.
that's probably
then it-
something I would have done as a
And then
kid.
it stopped, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Let me see. I had some other question I wrote down. I just want to make sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a cool phone case. Is that like wood and epoxy?
Yeah, it is actually.
That's badass.
Like, what's it called? It's called Carved. I found them
Okay.
online, so just plug someone else in your video.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not getting paid for it. So I had an interest rate question. So like, it sounds like they're going to be raised again. Do you have a strategy for that? Or like, do you think just keep moving forward with buying properties, or wait? Do you want until maybe prices come down?
Yeah, so there are two answers I have to that, I guess. One thing is the properties that I already have, I have 30-year fixed rate loans on them. And when I did my underwriting, I did it with the interest rates that were applicable at the time, and they cash flow well. So I don't have to worry about those interest rates going up because they're fixed, and those properties will continue to
Yeah.
cash flow well. New properties, I might have to underwrite a little bit more strictly, or, you know, not necessarily more strictly, but with the new interest rates, taking those into account, whatever they happen to be. You want to make sure that they cash flow with a fat enough margin that if while you're rehabbing the interest rate goes up a point or something,
Yeah.
you're going to be okay.
Right.
So, like, if you're taking on fat enough deals, then the interest rates don't matter that much. The possibility for an interest rate sort of crisis, I guess, derives from the people who have commercial loans with balloon payments.
Yeah.
And I'll back up a little. Unlike a typical residential loan where you have a 30-year fixed rate term, with a commercial loan, maybe between 5 and 10 years or something, you'll have what's called a balloon payment, where you have to pay back the full balance of the loan. And typically you do that by either refinancing into a new loan, selling the property, or, you know, just maybe you have cash too that you could
Yeah.
inject into it to make up that difference. But a lot of people, they don't want to sell their property, and they're planning on just refinancing. But, you know, if they bought the property and underwrote it for like a 3 or 4% interest rate, and now it's 7 or 8 or whatever, that
Yeah.
debt service payment doubles.
Yeah.
And that's going to eat up a lot of people's cash flow and even shift a property from making money to losing money, because that really is a significant hit. So if when a lot of those balloon payments come due, people find themselves cash flow negative, they'll be in a position where either the bank won't write a new loan because they won't write a loan to somebody who's not going to be making money, because
Yeah.
that's a bad investment on the bank's part. How are they expect to get paid back then?
Yeah.
So there just seem to be people who have to sell.
Yeah.
And it sounds like there are a lot of people who might be facing that predicament. particularly a lot of the people who dove into syndication when things were like really good and low interest rates. People are maybe taking on deals with not the adequate awareness of the risk. Particularly, a lot of people watching people making it on YouTube and deciding, I'm going to dive in and I'm going to be a syndicator, and they're playing fast and loose with other people's money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's...
So yeah, you don't want to be one of those guys, but those are the people who are probably going to be the most prone to trouble. And maybe they will have to sell some properties at discounts to more prudent investors who have stronger cash positions when the time comes.
People that are positioned better might be able to snag these deals.
But conversely, maybe it won't get that bad because this is an issue that's on a lot of people's radars. And there are a lot of prudent investors, it seems, who have money set aside and are starting to acquire capital for funds to go in and take advantage of this opportunity. And it seems like the extent to which an issue is foreseen is inversely proportional to the yield that you can derive from it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. If a lot of people know about it, a lot of people prepare about it or
It's
prepare
kind
for
of,
it,
priced
and the
into the
opportunity
market.
is reduced.
Yeah. I know in like stock trading or crypto trading, they call it being priced into the market.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So people are ready for it. So it's already priced in, which means like the prices are equal to that risk.
Right. If you want stuff that's not priced in, you need to be like in Congress or something.
Right. Yeah, on the inside. So basically, what you're saying with the interest rates is, if you just find a deal that cash flows at the rates we're at, then you just lock that in at
Exactly.
the 30-year mortgage, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So even if the equity, if the home price comes down, you're still like making that cash flow. You just have to worry about a rent price coming down, which I don't know how often that happens.
It's infrequent, but one good thing is because of the types of deals I've done where it's like a lot of value add and I can rent them out to good people for a lot of money, I could have over 50% of my tenants stop paying and still break even on my basic expenses.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know, it makes me sleep well at night.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, try to do fat deals with good cash flow, decent margins, and you can weather a lot more storms that way than the person who is, thin margins.
For sure. So let's see if I have any other questions on here that I haven't asked yet. So when you are evaluating a property, like, how do you determine that there's a lot of value there? Like, I guess, so you're doing the BRRRR strategy. You're trying to find slightly distressed properties and then fix them up.
So there are different mechanisms for creating wealth with real estate. One of them obviously is cash flow, which we've talked about. Another is equity, like the ability to force equity. So that's where the value in getting a distressed property that you can strategically fix up to have it be worth substantially more at the end of the process than the sum of what you have into it. And that's also a way
basically what flippers do.
Yeah,
but they're not holding the
You're
property.
buying properties that would make good flips, but instead of flipping them, you're renting them out to people.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you know if that building is like a good building to go ahead and then invest in and doing renovations and all that?
So there are three factors there. One is what you buy the property for. The other is what you expect to be able to sell it for. The other is what it costs to fix it up. And I guess kind of tangential to that or parallel to that is how long it takes to fix it up.
Yeah.
But to figure out what you can buy it for, that's fairly simple. Like, you can just try to negotiate and see what you can get under contract for, or look at what similar properties in the area are selling for, or, even just the asking price. That's, kind of the starting point for that. Rehab cost, over time you develop a feel for what certain levels of rehabs will cost, and you get better identifying from looking at a property what it will need. Starting out, it's good to get multiple estimates from contractors who have those skills already, and then bake in for the high likelihood that it'll cost more than what they say up front.
Yeah, it'll cost more.
Because they always open up the wall and then it's like, oh no, there's termite damage on these studs. You have to replace them, or any number of things could happen that drive up the cost. But then the last part of that is what you can sell it for.
Yeah.
And that you look at sales comps.
So you look in a neighborhood, what is like the nicest house worth, and then kind of compare that to your
So like a neighborhood where you can get stuff for cheap, but fixed up stuff sells for a lot. That's a great place to try and do BRRRR deals, provided that the cash flow that they can generate is adequate to pay the note once you do the cash out refinance on the back end.
Okay. And when you do a cash out refinance, how does that process work? Are you getting, so you get a new interest rate, or you keep the same interest rate that you had?
So it's a whole new loan, so it'll be based on whatever the interest rates are for that particular time. Usually as an investor, you pay a slightly higher interest rate than a normal homeowner would. And also if it's a multifamily property, you get dinged for interest rate too, because it tends to be more of like an investor style asset.
Okay.
So they charge you more, and you also can't do the same amount of loan to value, which is the percentage of total value that you could hold as debt.
Yeah, isn't it like you can get up to 70% or something?
70% for multifamily, for single family it's 75%.
Okay.
So these are all things you have to be aware of when underwriting a deal to make sure that you can get all or most of your money out at the back end.
Okay. Would you say you learned the most just by going out and doing this stuff?
Before ever starting, I spent a couple months just consuming all the content that I could on the subjects. I just went down all sorts of rabbit holes with like audiobooks, YouTube videos, podcasts, and the like.
Yeah.
And once all that stuff started to sound redundant, that's when it's like, okay, I think I have a grasp on this. It's time to dive in. So there's still like some, I don't know, trepidation first going into it for the first time, even if you have that book knowledge or whatever from consuming the content. But, that's where it pays to work with a good real estate agent or somebody who can kind of help you through the process or validate your thoughts on what you think is correct.
Okay.
Or, if what you think you're doing isn't correct, then, hopefully they can set you straight.
So find like a good...
It pays to work with a good agent. So the guy I started using, his name is Joe Hamill. And shortly after I started using him, he started like the Fire Realty team, which is like financial independence, retired.
Yeah, I actually have heard of that.
And just like went real heavy on the investor niche.
Yeah.
Also selling stuff for like, owner occupants and that type of thing too. So he spans the spectrum, but now he has, I think, like 8 agents working for him and several admins.
Yeah.
And
I actually have
when I started
them.
working with him, he was just Joe. He was the guy.
Yeah.
And it's been crazy to watch him blow up, but his whole thing from the beginning is like, I want to earn a 5-star review. So after he'd look at some properties, he'd sit down with me and like we'd underwrite them and
so he was
just kind of like guide me through the process and provide his insights, and it was just kind of helpful to have that, especially being inexperienced, because you want somebody who's done it before to either validate your ideas or tell you you're screwing up and like look at this differently.
Yeah, that's nice that kind of is there to guide you a little bit.
Yeah, that's huge, I think.
And actually, I have reached out to his team just to talk to him for a bit. But yeah, that's funny.
Who did you talk to?
I think I talked to Joe.
To Joe, all right.
Yeah, so I went to biggerpockets.com actually and looked up like suggested or realtors or in your area.
Yeah.
And he popped up.
He probably has like tons of reviews on there now.
He does. Like he was one of the better ones. So that's why I contacted him.
When I started using him, he had like maybe one review or no reviews or whatever, but I just read his profile. Like he filled his out more thoroughly than other people did, and he put like a whole bunch of markets that he'd serve in the profile. I'm like, all right, this guy's hungry. Like he's gonna take the time, I think, to show me all the dilapidated garbage that I want to see. And sure enough, he was happy to do it, and now I bought a whole bunch of properties through him and his team.
That's great. His profile is very convincing. So, but it sounds like he's good. So. Do you still use him? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, actually, most of my deals have been from the MLS. Oh. A lot of people really push the off-market deals, and that's great. I mean, I've tried doing the direct mail marketing to find this stuff. I haven't had that pan out so much yet, but I'll probably do another round of mailers eventually, and
Yeah.
just stick with it, and eventually get results. Just like some people are doing it and doing very well with it, so it just means I need to do something better or just do it more.
Right. I've seen, I don't know if you've gone to like Facebook Marketplace at all, but I've seen properties on there for sale by owner. So.
Yes, I have bought a property on Facebook Marketplace too.
Yeah.
It was a fourplex in Melvindale.
Oh, nice. And did that work out?
It worked out great.
Yeah.
I got it for $165,000. Now it's probably worth around $250,000.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
didn't put that much money into it.
That's great.
I spent like $13,000 fixing up the vacant unit, and since buying it, I had to do some plumbing repairs because there's like a pipe that collapsed under the floor. So that was
wow.
like another
Okay.
$3,000, but
I
not
mean,
a
that's
huge
not
deal.
bad.
Yeah.
For a nice investment property.
Yeah, it's been cash flowing very solidly. The taxes in Melvindale suck, but it
Yeah.
still cash flows solidly,
That's great.
and it's appreciated a bunch. And I just got it at a good price.
Yeah.
The guy I bought it from said he had another offer for $180, but sold it to me instead because he just liked me more.
No way.
Yeah, so it's crazy. So, when meeting with potential sellers, try to make a good impression.
Wow. Okay. So that's like a big deal. That was.
Well, it helped
saved
because
you.
like his son lived in the building,
Uh-huh.
and the other guy's like, I'm just gonna buy it and jack up all the rents to this, and just seemed like kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Or at least that's the impression I got from it. But
Yeah. I've heard other.
for me, it's
stories,
more like, all right, I'll do slight incremental increases for these established tenants. I'll fix up this vacant unit and rent that out for market rate. And I don't know,
Yeah.
he just liked me more, so he sold me the property. So
Yeah, I've heard other stories similar to that, like Pace Morby. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's
yeah, I
on
don't
Bigger
follow
Pockets.
him much, but like I've seen some of his stuff. Yeah.
So he told a story that he helped out a lady. I don't know if it was him or maybe one of his students or whatever. But she could only offer so much on the property, and and the owner was getting offers above that. But she said, well, if you need help with anything, like anything at all, or this was Pace, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Pace himself.
Is it the story about chickens or whatever?
I think it was the rabbits.
Rabbits?
Yeah.
Maybe? Okay.
But he like helped out with the moving the rabbits or something,
Yeah.
and then like got the deal for the price that he offered originally. So
Right. Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, it's like it is
Just
totally
have to find
about
your angle. Yeah.
the relationships.
It is
yeah.
so much a people business.
That's
And same
that's
thing
great.
dealing with tenants. Like if you want people who will take care of your property and stick around, like treat them the way you'd want to be treated.
Yeah.
If they have a concern, take it seriously.
Yeah, for sure. I also thought about. So I know I'm not a current homeowner myself. So as a first-time homeowner, you can get like those really good loans,
FHA, yeah.
loans if you want.
Get
up to
yourself
4
like
units.
a fourplex. Yeah.
Yeah, and do like the house. They call it the house hack.
Yeah. You should do that.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. So like,
Because I bought a primary residence before I like had real estate investing on my radar at all.
okay.
So it's not
yeah.
been like a terrible decision because the value's gone up a lot. I've done work on it and so on. But property
Yeah.
taxes in Farmington Hills suck, so it's been a bit of a drain in that regard. And
Yeah.
I don't know. If
Yeah.
I could go back in time, I probably would have done the house hack thing, or I almost certainly would have.
Yeah. For sure. I know.
I actually almost bought as my first house some like piece of shit in an area that was like pretty decent.
Yeah.
That could have been a great rental and probably would have gotten me started in this sooner, but
Oh
my
yeah.
parents were like, is that really where you want to live? You can do better, blah, blah, blah. And like,
Yeah.
kind of like
We always.
peer pressured me, I guess, into like buying
Yeah.
something more extravagant that maybe in hindsight I shouldn't have, but whatever.
Yeah, I know. Like parents like are always in your ear about something. They totally will change your mind too.
I'm over that now.
Yeah, my parents like they kind of like convinced me to go get like my master's degree, which I went and did instead of like I was thinking about getting my real estate license
Oh, yeah.
instead. So I wonder what would have happened if I just got the real estate license by now.
Yeah.
Where would I be? But
What do you have your
It's
degree
fine.
in?
master's in business administration. I actually took a half day today just to come out here because I
Oh,
was
nice.
like, yeah, I don't need to worry about work right now.
Yeah.
Investing's more important. I actually told my boss too. She's kind of like a little bit into real estate.
Oh,
as
really?
well.
Okay.
I was like, she's like, oh yeah, you're going to do anything fun? And I was like, kind of. I'm going to meet like this local like successful investor to like try and learn some stuff from him. She was like, oh, that's great. Like, let me know what you learn. Yeah. So it worked out.
Yeah. So do you think you'll be like making a move in real estate, like sell some of your crypto?
I probably won't sell crypto for it, but I'm saving some cash on the side now instead of just throwing it all into crypto or whatever.
Yeah, it's good to be in multiple things, or a thing you know very well. So if your main focus is crypto and you're killing it as a trader or whatever, like
yeah, I wouldn't say I was killing
going,
it, but I did well. Like 2020 was like when everything was
stuff blew
basically
up
at the peak.
And then you probably sold it at a good time, or hopefully some.
Yeah, I sold some of it, not all of it, because I was still learning. But so now I think is actually a pretty good time to like buy into stuff.
Yeah, I know it's been like a little bit flat at like mid-20s or whatever for Bitcoin. Is that about right?
Yeah, I think it's just in like a big accumulation phase where it's just going to kind of bounce around in the range for a little while. And I don't know how much you know about crypto or Bitcoin, but it kind of goes in like 4-year cycles. Because like it's about every 4 years that Bitcoin has a halving. Where, the rewards
the effort
for
to generate a coin or whatever doubles.
Yeah, the effort, like, so the reward, I think that's the reward that halves. So the effort, it might double too, I don't know.
Well, I guess it's two different ways of looking at it, two ways of the same thing.
Yeah.
So if you have to do the same amount of work for half this shit, it's like doubling the effort to get the same amount of shit.
Exactly. So after that happens, usually the year after that, leading up to it, you get kind of a rise, but after that halving, you get like the parabolic move.
Okay.
And it's happened 3 or 4 times in a row now.
Yeah.
Like clockwork almost. So if you like learned that early on, you made a lot of money just like following the 4-year cycle.
Yeah.
Like I wish I would have known about it sooner.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done like a little bit with crypto, not much. Like made a little bit of money, lost a little bit of money. I think overall I'm like up a little bit. I don't have any right now.
Yeah.
But same with stocks. There's like a time when everything was just crazy bull market where I was buying more stocks and had some stuff that was like up wildly that I sold and some stuff that was up wildly that then tanked.
Yeah.
And I'm kicking myself for not selling it and I don't know. Now I just focus on more like on real estate. That's what I like about that is it's an asset that I control and it's more stable. So
that's kind of where my mindset is at now. Is I'm sick of like relying on the markets and waiting for something to happen,
and also it's just a thing that I kind of know right now. Like to genuinely be good at stocks, I think you have to spend a lot of time doing research.
Oh yeah, it is very time.
It is a huge commitment, and there are only so many things I can be involved with.
Right, and if you're a day trader, if you're like making active trades daily or weekly, you have to watch it even more. Yeah, and it's stressful. I tried it.
It's more like momentum based and trends than fundamentals, right?
Yeah, and just like trading formations, or you want to set up a strategy so that like your win will more than cover a loss. Like set up stop losses. But I've had trades where it's like you make a trade and you want to sit on it for a day or two, just depending on what the trend might be doing. But you're like awake at night just like staring at it like, oh no, what should I do? So I don't know, it's a little too stressful for me. Yeah. Especially if you're using like a lot of money.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, I think the style of investing that would be more for me if I did more with stocks. So right now, I'll just probably like kind of dollar cost average some cash flow in.
Yeah, that's probably like, that's my favorite, just to wait for there's like a macro low, and that happens over a long period of time. You'll see it, and then you just start cost averaging in then, or you could just dollar cost average no matter what.
Yeah, or if there's some company you like or an industry you like or whatever, you just start feeding a little into it or whatever, and then just ignore it and see what happens.
Right. Yeah, I think the hype about crypto was early on. there wasn't that many. So almost any one that you bought, you would do well in in a bull market.
Yeah,
They
now
all
there's
go
so
up.
many.
Now that it's getting to be more like the stock market, where like it's more of a gamble now. A lot of people are like get a lot of hype about the meme coins because it's
Oh yeah, like Elon Musk will
It's like
start
a rush.
accepting Dogecoin
Yeah,
or
as soon
whatever
as he,
for Teslas, and
and then it skyrockets.
yeah.
So I think people are looking for like the really quick money, but it's getting harder
But
and harder.
that doesn't serve people long term, I don't think.
No, definitely.
Like you might clock a few W's doing that, but
Yeah.
like
and
I don't know,
I've
it might be fleeting.
Yeah, I have had like a win or two like that, but to get that, there was a lot of losses to like
Yeah.
find that. So the one or two like they covered the losses, but you know, you're more than likely gonna lose if you're just on one or two of these like meme coins.
Right.
So
Yeah, it makes sense.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's a
and
gamble.
people argue about the scarcity of Bitcoin, saying it's like, well, not Bitcoin specifically, but crypto in general.
Oh,
But
yeah.
is that argument still valid when there's so many coins?
And
And you don't know which one is going to be the coin?
Yeah, it's kind of like the internet boom, like where kind of like waiting for the bubble to burst a little bit. Well, I know we're kind of in a bear market now, so like a lot of these companies or cryptos that got started that were companies failed, you know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weeding out the losers. But then again, you can just go online in like 5 minutes and make your own crypto, and it doesn't really need to be a business. So even if it goes to like zero,
Yeah,
it
so,
doesn't matter. So it'll still be there. So I don't know. It's kind of still the Wild West a little bit.
I wonder if anybody's tried a strategy of just finding like some really low small market cap coin, juicing it with a moderate investment,
Yeah,
and then people will notice and be like, what's happening here?
I'm sure
And
they
then feed a little bit more and just
tried.
show like a trend, and then other people start piling on, and then that person
Yeah.
dumps.
Yeah, I'm sure that's happened. I know, like as soon as like there's a big like news event or something, like people will make a crypto coin about it. Like there's like Pelosi coin or something, you know, just Elon Musk coin.
Yeah.
And some of those will get hyped, but it's just a quick pump and then dump.
Right. Yeah, I think it'll be good once there's like more uses for this stuff and people start accepting it as payment.
Yeah.
Like when you can go to this taco truck and pay in like Ethereum or whatever, that'll be cool.
The one nice thing about Bitcoin though, it's really like truly decentralized
I do like that.
and it's deflationary. So
Yeah.
I could see how that has a lot of value, especially like with our fiat currency that's just been inflated out of
Absolutely,
control.
yeah. Yeah, now
So-
like the central banks are like, oh shit, CBDC and
Right now they want to do
regulation.
that, and then they're going to be able to track basically every transaction.
I hate that, yeah.
Yeah.
People need some privacy.
For
Some
sure.
cash is important.
Yeah, and hopefully hopefully it doesn't get to that, but
Yeah.
if it does, I'll
I mean, there are
definitely.
going to be people pushing for it. And
Yeah.
You just need enough people aware and pushing back and
Mm-hmm.
realizing that there's more nefarious things that the government can do with the ability to track that than like crack down on
Right.
money laundering or whatever.
Right, and everyone, a majority of people you talk to all think like there is corruption in the government, so it's like, why do you want to give them more control?
I don't know.
You know, why do you want to give them more money or more
A
control?
lot of times it's the people who are really against the government the most. You just want to like blow it up.
Yeah,
And by blow it up, I mean make it bigger, not like
Yeah.
physically.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of funny, but it's what it is.
Yeah.
I think I'll always probably be in Bitcoin a little bit. So
Yeah, makes sense. And I'm sure I'll get more too eventually.
yeah, and it's
And
nice
I want to look
'cause-
into the gaming coins because it could be a real good thing.
Yep. And if you ever wanted to like leave the U.S. or take your capital with you,
Yeah,
if you have it in Bitcoin, I mean, in a Bitcoin wallet, you just access
right.
it
You just
anywhere,
need your code or whatever for your wallet, right?
which is nice. It's
Yeah.
like kind of like a FU to the government a little bit.
I love that aspect of it.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's why I like it.
Cool. All right. Do you want to check out the building, or do you
Yeah.
have time?
For sure.
All right. Cool.